So at a certain point, the pilots might actually get caught up in it as well, but so far not, as far as I know.
And Sharif, the knowledge you have of what's going on in Suez there in Tahrir, and then the danger that you were talking about. I mean, the ominous words of Suleiman, the vice president, who was just named vice president, what, a week or two ago, saying, warning of a coup if the unrest continues, saying protests must end or the dark bats of the night would emerge to terrorize the nation. And this is a man who knows torture. He headed the feared Egyptian General Intelligence Service. He was the CIA's point man for extraordinary rendition, the covert program, of course, of taking people from wherever they were to a third country who are tortured. Jane Mayer has written about him, saying all of these things, CIA snatching terror suspects from around the world and returning them to Egypt and elsewhere for interrogation, often under brutal circumstances?
Well, I mean, on Suez, you know, this was a real flashpoint in the uprising. The crackdown there by the state security apparatus and the military as well, which is stationed around Suez, was fierce, and the fighting back was fierce, and it was much more fierce than what we saw here in Cairo. And there were, you know, here it was broadcast all over the world with tear gas, with beatings, and with open fire as well. Suez has always been a place of fierce resistance, and many credit a lot of the strength of this movement to the strength of the people in Suez. As Professor Beynon said, the canal has not closed. And again, this is, you know, there's three sources of foreign income for Egypt, which are crucial. Tourism, that one has basically collapsed as this uprising has begun. If the Suez closes, the only thing left is U.S. aid, which comes mostly in military aid. So the question then remains is, will the pressure, the economic pressure, be put then on Mubarak, or will it go towards the protesters? I think that increasingly people are moving away from Mubarak and demanding his ouster. This is the #1 principal demand. You know, he shuffled his cabinet around, and that's why everyone is focusing on him now, for him to step down and allow things to move forward. With regards to Omar Suleiman, you know, I was just coming from Tahrir. Rumors are always rampant in these situations, and there's been many rumors that have always been around Tahrir. One of them today was there was going to be Omar Suleiman was going to disperse the protesters today. I heard it from three separate people, three separate sources, saying that they were going to come in, tear gas people, beat them, and force them out. It's very hard to believe these rumors. I think it's part of an effective and, well, not effective, but a very well-aimed propaganda campaign by the government to dissuade people from coming, especially on the verge of tomorrow. But we know that Omar Suleiman is capable of this. He has been the intelligence chief and Mubarak's right-hand man for many years, and this regime was characterized by this kind of violence. But people here don't seem to be dissuaded whatsoever. I, for one, was very surprised at the level of people that were here in Tahrir on Thursday. Usually the day before one of the big days, tomorrow's expected to be the biggest, you see a little bit of a lull. But there are simply tens of thousands in there streaming in. It was very hard to actually leave because there were so many people. I almost didn't make it to the studio. So, and we're seeing, you know, lawyers and doctors come in. So we'll have to see what transpires tomorrow.
Well, Sharif, it seems that all this week, the attempt of the Egyptian government has basically been to begin the return to normalcy, to basically wither down the crowds there and to manage the situation. But all your reports this week so far seem to indicate that exactly the opposite is happening, that instead of a return to normalcy, the protest movement seems to be growing and actually spreading across the country. Do you get any sense, either on the military side or the government side, of increasing frustration with their inability to control the situation?
Well, it's unclear one. The military outside on the streets of Cairo has not really done a mass crackdown anywhere. They've arrested hundreds of people, maybe thousands of activists. We have yet to see a major crackdown. As one young activist, Mona Al-Saif, told me, we're just going to maybe have to take Cairo piece by piece until Mubarak steps down. That seems to be the case. You know, they took the Parliament Street yesterday, and they're planning to take more places tomorrow. We've seen what the government's response to this. change as this uprising began. In the beginning, they tried to forcefully stop it with the Interior Ministry apparatus, the state security apparatus. We saw the tear gas. We saw the beatings. They were overwhelmed by the protests. Then we saw them remove the entire police force from Cairo, from most of Egypt, even from police stations, and release prisoners from jails to try and foment chaos, to have people run back into the arms of security of Mubarak. That failed with the establishment of these neighborhood committees that were set up in solidarity by people across Cairo. We then saw Mubarak try and make so-called concessions, none of which the protesters meet any of the protesters' demands. That did not quell the size of the protests at all. And so the government the regime seems to be trying to adapt and trying to somehow quell this protest, but it doesn't seem to be working. They've tried different strategies. We should not rule out the possibility of more violence with Omar Suleiman and Mubarak still at the helm of this regime, but just the vast numbers of people, and the Tahrir is filled with families now, and a lot of children. I would be very surprised if they try and strike this down with violence. And if they don't, the only option will be for Mubarak, well, more and more pressure will come on him to be the only option for him to step down.
Sharif, we talked about this yesterday, but Karim Amr, a well-known blogger in Egypt, just recently came out of 4 years in prison for his dissident blogging, disappeared on Sunday just before Wael Ghonim, the Google executive, was released. We don't know how many hundreds, perhaps thousands of people remain detained, but is there any word of Karim?
Amy, I have not heard any word of Karim since yesterday. It's a very common topic that's discussed on Twitter and on the blogs. As you mentioned, of course, he was jailed for years, was kind of, the blogger of Egypt that raised the specter of the regime cracking down on bloggers and jailing them. And Wael Ghonim, of course, is very significant. The interview that he gave a couple of days ago with Mona Al-Shazli, a very popular show here in Egypt, really moved a lot of people and brought new people that hadn't protested before into the streets. And so while many call this, the revolution of the Facebook generation, it was organized by the April 6th youth movement and the Khaled Said, which is the one that Wael Ghonim organized, the Khaled Said support group. That was very significant, but as Professor Bainan outlined, all of this had the roots in the labor struggles that have been smoldering for years in Egypt. Of course, April 6th Youth Movement is named after the Mahalla strike, April 6, 2008. They have really led the fight in the years that led to this explosion by young people, led by the youth here in Egypt, that led to this really incredible popular uprising.